That's your paradise? Birds of Paradise? That's
Yes,
nightmare
my-
fuel.
what do
That's
you
like
mean, a
Alfred
full-
Hitchcock.
You're taking that game a little bit more seriously.
I'm going to be the guy to tangent off of, even though I'm supposed to keep us on track here. Welcome to WWB Ward Wide Broadcast. This is episode 52, and that means we've been doing this for 1 year, guys. Woo! Oh, all right. I was expecting the cheers. Come on. There we go. Yeah. All right. But with that, we have a couple things that we need to touch first. We have tournaments, a lot of tournaments to talk about that are all kind of going on at the same time. With the release of Gen 3, I know Big Top Games in Georgia, Clayton, Georgia, I think is the exact place, is where Big Top Games store is. So if you are anywhere near that area, they're throwing on a release party at noon their time, where they're going to be cracking their Gen 3 packs that I believe they've been able to get out there. So if people want to go into a crack pack, Gen 3 crack pack, definitely make your way to Big Top Games in Clayton, Georgia. And then Curious Crow in Minneapolis and Lexington. They are throwing on an Average Joe tournament that also involves the release date of Gen 3 and basically allowing you to have the Gen 3 cards in that tournament as well. So again, both of these tournaments will be on February 21st. If anyone is living under a rock, that is the day that Gen 3 releases for all of us at noon. And so everybody is getting in on it, throwing on some events. Also at Globe News, we're going to be having a Swiss crack pack tournament too. So for anybody who's near Globe News in Superior, Wisconsin, that is also another location, and that is where WWB will be live streaming the event. We will all be there. We will all be cracking packs. We'll all be playing. We'll be chatting. We'll be talking. We'll be definitely throwing on quite a ruckus. As you can tell, these guys over here, they're just loud and ready to party. But yeah, that'll be at Globe News again at noon on February 21st. So make sure you guys are all ready to go, rocking and rolling. If you're made plans to come out to any of those release locations, get out there. Make sure that you message in our episode with Marty. It was our 50th episode. It was 2 episodes ago. Put Big Fur Coat, and then tell them where you are, which release party you're going to, and you have a chance to potentially win a pack that's signed by all the creators of Ward itself. And also, if you are not able to make it to one of those places, put in Big Fur Coat in the chat, because if there's one lucky person that they're going to basically pick from all those people and send a pack out to them with all the signatures on it too. So there's 4 chances. So depending on which store you go to, you can... Yeah, or 5. All right, Billy's saying 5, but
Oh, you said 4 and held up your hand. It's 5.
yep, whatever. You know what I mean. There's four chances
Hey.
to potentially get a cool signed Gen 3 pack. So the whole pack will be signed. So you don't want to crack that pack open, even though it's probably going to have some good stuff in it with all the signatures on it. But that's a pretty cool giveaway that they're doing for it.
We're like 5 minutes into the episode, and you're already giving away the giveaway details. At least for the other episodes, you had to wait till the end. But now it's
you
like,
know what?
secret's out.
You know what, Billy? Sometimes you got to throw it right at the beginning just to get the hype going and get the energy. You know what I mean? So that's fair. I hear what you're saying. But either way, all those events are going to be going on February 21st. Cards can be opened at noon. Again, WWB will be live streaming it at Globe News in Superior, Wisconsin. Other locations, Curious Crow in Lexington is throwing on their tournament. The one I missed was Iron Sports Cards. I always butcher their name. Is that what it is? Iron Sport Card Store?
Iron Range Sports Cards.
Boom, we got it there. And that is in Hibbing, where the game was created, and Joe and Q will be at that one. So again, another location. And then, like I said, Big Top Games in Georgia, they also are throwing on a release party. So yeah. So all those spots, all those places, it's going to be a pretty crazy big event, and I can tell, we're all ready, we're all excited, and it's gonna be a great time. Moving on though, we also have the Frost Worm Winter Cup, our WWB tournament that we're throwing on online. This will be the day after the release day, so this is going to be February 22nd at 2 p.m. CST, and basically everybody's able to register and join this event, and it's going to be Gen 3 only. It's an unofficial one. It doesn't affect your rankings, but again, this is going to be the first bring your own Gen 3 only deck or tournament that you can have a constructed deck, and everyone's going to have access to, so you don't have to own the cards. Everyone has access to the full card library that Billy will be uploading on Untap. So make whatever amalgamation of cards that you want, can construct and bring your deck. To register, there's a $15 fee. $10 goes into the pool for the prize winners, and then $5 just goes for registration. Also, you just gotta make sure that you show me just a picture of your screenshot of your untapped deck, just so that I have the deck, and make sure that there isn't any cheating. Obviously, we don't want that. But that will be going on again February 22nd, which is a Sunday at 2 p.m. CST, right after the release the day before. So definitely want everybody who can come out to that to make sure to register. Registration ends on 10 p.m. on the 21st, so you got plenty of time. Just make sure you get that in. But that's all for the tournament stuff. Now that I've covered, I always like to cover all the ranked. I mean, all of us three here are pretty heavy in the ranked scene, and WWB is definitely the platform that we use to make sure that everybody has access to know what's going on in the Ward scene. But now I would like for us to we're going to talk about ourselves, because this is, our anniversary, guys. We get to tell everybody about, kind of what WWB is. I kind of want to interview you guys a little bit, and so that people probably have questions, and a lot of people don't really know exactly the roots of, how we kind of started WWB. We never have really had an episode that covered it, so I thought this would be a perfect time to potentially jump in and just kind of not only, just get both of your guys' perspectives of how you got in the game, but just kind of like a little bit of a timeline to have, so that people can kind of be like, oh yeah, like I didn't start at the time Billy and Tyler and Harry started, but now I can kind of understand how we got from there to here, and just the journey. And so I thought this would be a good episode for us to do that. And so with that, do you guys have anything, Billy, Tyler, you want to add before we start on that topic?
Oh.
They're ready. All right. So with that, Billy, I will be starting with you. I think for one thing, a lot of people probably don't know about Billy is that he is someone from the first season of Ward. I mean, he's definitely probably one of the longest lasting people that came from, I would say, maybe like the first group of Ward. Warlords is the word they use. I like that. He's one of the first warlords that was entered the scene, and so he definitely has been around a while, and I think it's kind of nice if we could maybe get that perspective, Billy, of exactly kind of what Ward looked like when you first kind of got into the scene of Ward. You're gonna get to tell us the baby stage of where the game kind of started, which is kind of nice.
Sure. Yeah, I'd love to. I'm definitely not the oldest warlord, but I am
in the
among
wait,
the older
I need to
ones.
correct you. In the competitive scene, I think you're kind of the oldest. If we look at the rankings and
Uh,
things, you're kind of one of the last
I,
bastions of that generation.
Dustin's been around longer than me.
Okay.
Dustin, Zach, also.
Are they in the
Zach, yeah,
rankings?
yeah,
Wait,
Zach.
let's take a look. Are they still in the
Well,
competitive scene?
I don't have my Excel sheet on me. They're not in the top 20, but I
Yeah,
mean they've
so
got a rank.
we'll say Billy
Okay,
is in the
so
top
fair.
20.
They were at the Ward Bowl last year. I'm not taking that away from them.
That's fair. They were
Okay.
at the War Bowl.
But yeah, so sure. So I started playing in April of 2024. Um, and so Gen 1 first edition was in full swing. I was taught by some friends at work. They said, "Hey, we are all playing this fun game. You want to try it?" I said, "Yeah." Um, I watched a couple people play. We all went to like a bar after work, and they showed me how to play. I basically immediately jumped into like the high level end of it because the deck I was given was like essentially Joe's creator deck, which is get the creator output heroism on it, defend it with magic. And I was like, I understand that. So like I played, had a good time, close
Not a
game,
deck
and
that a
then
lot of
like just
people have probably gotten to play, right? It's like that is kind of a you got to get a creator and have
yeah,
the right
it's not
stuff.
a common
I'm
deck,
I'm sure not a
you
lot of
know.
people can relate to that. What exact? I mean, I'm curious. What was exactly your like connection to? How close were you connected to just like the almost like the beta of like Ward, where it was like these are the people that are kind of testing the game and kind of at its beginning stages. Like how where would you say? I mean, you have kind of a unique relationship with some of them.
Well, when you say beta, like everyone kind of like determine like calls the beginning alpha beta whatever differently.
Hmm.
I know sometimes um, Joe will say that the first edition Gen 1 was kind of like the beta test, but I don't know if that's what you mean by it.
Hmm.
Because there was, I mean, Legacy and first edition kind of blend together, and because they were the tournament scene was it was all the same. So um, I was after the Time Dragon ban, so when I first started playing, like Time Dragon was already banned.
Right.
Uh,
I would just say it was still a pretty small circle, though, right? It was like they were still kind
oh
of
yeah, I
they
mean
they
it
weren't
was
really.
small. I mean it was probably like 30 players max. You know what I mean?
Well, it's like in how many
Um,
stores would you say at that time it was like they were really in yet? Like,
it was all Minnesota stores. I mean, it was probably a handful,
mm-hmm.
and the if you went to they had like just gotten into the Lucky Seven like gas stations, and so like when you went to like the list of stores that Ward was in, like half of them were just gas stations up in like Hibbing and Duluth in that area.
Hey, you got to start somewhere,
But yeah,
right?
I guess start somewhere. But I mean, yeah, it was a handful of stores, and it was cool just to like go into. Now my local store, the Curious Grow, didn't have it yet, but like so I had to go down to like Foxton, which is in Burdensville, to like buy it in the store, and so that was like a little bit of a drive, but it was still cool like walking in and like oh it's right there. So um, yeah, that's kind of where I started.
So, would you say
It
the
was
Oh, I'm sorry. Would you say the competitive scene was like you kind of just knew a lot of the people in the competitive scene when it was going through that first season of Ward?
yeah for sure, but it was only the competitive people that I had met playing in my friend group. A lot of them played in tournaments. But like I didn't meet a lot of the people from up north really until like Gen 2 started because that's when I got like because I played in the Gen 1 first edition tournaments, but like I only played like within the Minneapolis area. I wasn't like super committed yet, but like when I started to like drive up to like Globe and Glow K and I don't know if I've gone to a Hibbing. No, I have gone. Well, no, where did they do that? I don't think I've been to a Hibbing tournament. No, I did
The
because I went
first
to one
Yuletide
time I went to
probably.
Runes and I went to Runes and Relics for a tournament
Oh.
one time. Ugh, yeah. But yeah, so I started to meet like all the like Dustin, Zag, all those guys kind of probably around that time.
Mhm. And
Um,
what was could you say like what the time of that was? Like where, what how where are we at in the timeline? You from when you started to like when you kind of like started meeting people and up by a Hibbing where the game was created?
like summer fall of 2024, um, because the Gen 2 was just about to release or they just released. And then, like, I went to the release party and that was a lot of fun. They did a release party at Fox 10. I met a bunch of people at the tournament I went to and at Fox 10, down in Minneapolis or Burnsville. And a lot of the people who've been playing for a while. I think that was the last um, tournament of that season. So there was no Ward Bowl yet. It was just the rankings were purely how many wins did you get. So really, it just boiled down to who went to the most tournaments, and some people
Or
had more
Casey would
time,
love
and
that right now.
I'm sure he would. Yeah, it just
So
boiled down
would
to who
Tyler
went to
would
the
too, right?
most. And they also, at the time,
No,
they didn't have the stores can only throw one tournament per month, so there's a little bit of some stores threw more tournaments than others, so there's a little bit of win farming there, but you know it is what it is. I didn't really care because once they did the Ward Bowl, I was under like my opinion was you can host a tournament every day at your tournament. You can rack up to 100 wins, but if you're not playing any stiff competition and not getting good practice, then you're going to get destroyed the Ward Bowl. So,
Right. So would you say? I
um,
mean, we're talking about the competitive scene. I mean, would you say that the competitive scene kind of like grabbed your attention before Gen two release, or like do you feel like maybe
oh,
Gen two?
absolutely.
Okay, so that I
Yeah,
mean, I want
the
you to talk
competitive
about
nature of
the
the
how.
game.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you're.
yeah, yeah. The competitive nature of the game is what grabbed me immediately because I like the deck I was given was like already pretty high level to learn, and like I was given like the basic rundown. I had played card games in the past, so I like kind of understood it like pretty quickly. I was just reading a lot, and then um, the interaction with the negates and like timing of like when do I play my really strong cards, like it was all like I was like, ooh, yeah, I like this a lot. And immediately it was like, all right, how do I build my own deck and where do I find the strategies that like are a little bit unconventional but like could catch people by surprise. I feel like a lot of the I gravitate towards that a lot where I like to play the strats where people don't expect it and so when they get hit with it in a tournament it usually throws them for a loop and sometimes that's all you need to like get an upper hand.
Hmm. No, that's fair. I mean, did you have like a favorite card, or like, I mean, you said you started with this like higher tier deck. Was there a card that was like your card when it came to just Gen one and in your play?
Yeah, my bread and butter with Gen 1 was Necromancer Judgment. um I I think Judgment was the first legendary card I pulled too. Um, so it was just cool to be like, like this is it. Like identifying early on, like, oh, I can just like losing a creature to the cemetery is bad because it goes toward my lost con or my opponent's win con. But if I can reset that, then it gives me more runway to get to my win con faster. So
Hmm.
I built the deck around just like bouncing between the hand, the cemetery, the hand, the cemetery, the field, the hand, the cemetery, the field, and it was a lot. I liked it a lot. And then also, of course, like if you played an AL12 deck, like it just I didn't even need to do anything because just play Judgment.
Mm, yeah.
Wrath was in there too.
Oh
And
yeah.
back in the day, Wrath also sent your limited summons, so Wrath worked the same way.
Was pretty powerful. So yeah, I mean, you started talking about just Gen two, release and things, and then we're getting to the point of the timeline where our stuff will start to merge. So I'll probably start asking Tyler some questions. But I mean, what was your original, feeling when it was like, all right, Gen two? How big was the game starting to feel? Was it starting to feel like it was like, okay, more stores are picking it up? It's not just gas stations. It's not just this small little area. It's like, all right, now it's starting to spread. Or what was your initial thought of when Gen two like kind of released and where the game was going from there?
Yeah, it felt like the next like step in growth. Because like the cards had the brand shiny new look. I thought, and of course, that's when Fabricio came onto the scene, and I thought, like, holy cow! Like, I liked Mark Evans. I liked a lot of the stuff he did, but don't get me wrong, like Fabricio is just the best. So I loved all the art that he did in Gen 2 and then later in Gen 1 and now Gen 3. But it was a nice like, it felt new again. And like I really, I'd only been playing for, you know, 6, 7 months at the time, but I was like, oh my gosh, it's new again. This is awesome. And then, more people started to show up tournaments. And then of course the first tournament that I met y'all at, uh, I had like watched like the Discord and like watched Tyler just run train on the with the Maniac deck, and then when
Whoa,
it
wait,
came to
wait, wait,
Curious,
Billy. We'll get to that. We'll get to that.
okay, we'll get there.
I'm
Okay,
curious.
sorry.
I just want to get your take on just like there was a spot where Gen two kind of came out, and I feel like before me and Tyler get into the story here, there a lot of people from just the Gen one era that had a hard time translating, like moving over to Gen two, and just like you said, like just like the change of pace of the game, maybe, or just the way the game was headed. I think it.
There's a few people, but I think there were way more people who were coming into the game and like loving the changes versus people who maybe we're not as big of a fan.
I, I,
So
I guess
like
I just
which
remember.
I think is natural.
I guess I just remember a time where it was like me and Tyler were getting in, and it just felt like there was like a bunch of people that are like, "Oh, I don't want to play right now with Gen 1 gone and only Gen 2," and they're I don't know, you know what I mean? It felt like there was a pretty decent minority or
Well,
like size
that's
of people that were just kind of venting their feelings on just Gen 2
I
only.
yeah, I think there was just people who um they had their deck that they liked in Gen 1, and some actually a lot of people are resistant to change. So like if they have their deck they like and they like playing it, and then you say, "Okay, now we're doing Gen 2, you can't use your Gen 1 cards because we're doing Gen 2 only." Because remember, this is the first time that Ward had a new generation of cards, and they said, "Okay, only the new cards right now,
Mm-hmm.
right? And
Right.
to wait a time until you can add your old cards back in." So, um, which is the right thing to do. You want to prioritize the new card. You want to prioritize the new set that and
Right.
get people playing that. That's also a bit of it evens the playing field a little bit because if you just if you use your old decks and just like get open Gen 3, you'll be like, I'll just keep my old stuff. But
Well,
if you like only play Gen 3, you're gonna find the new stuff. You're gonna find the new combos, which will eventually start to merge into your old stuff.
right. And I just think too, probably with just the way Gen 2, released, I think it was like you said, new artwork, all of these things. I can only imagine they're just like, here, let's push this is what we want to push in front of people.
Yeah,
We don't want people to be like coming to tournaments, then it's just like, oh yeah, here's Gen 1. What the heck? This does not look like the cards I just bought from the store. You know what I mean? And I think that
yeah.
was probably a big thing for them too. But yeah, definitely. I mean, as we pivot over to Gen 3, thank you, Billy. Like I said, you've set the scene pretty well, and obviously from here on out, now this is where all of our stories will probably collide a little bit. So we'll be able to give some feedback. But Billy obviously set a lot of the groundwork. So for people in the chat, you can definitely thank Billy. He was definitely one of the original supporters of Ward and got it. To this point for all of us to participate into it. But with that, Tyler, I mean, I'm sure you're ready to talk about how we got into the scene of Ward and just kind of what it looked like from our perspective as coming in with the Gen 2 only.
Yeah, so when like it came to Superior, I guess, and I'm good friends with John, the owner of Globe News, and I'd been playing a lot of Magic at the time, and I had seen that he had gotten into a new card game, Ward, and other people were playing it at the store, and they were playing it quite a bit, and I was like, I don't really want to get into a new card game. I've already spent quite a bit of money on Magic, so I'd kind of just look and watch them play and whatever. And then we had Excalibur Con. It was I can't remember what it was even called back then. It was called a different name back
Deep
when
con.
TeebCon.
Deep Con, yeah. And it was like the last day that we were there, and I had probably like 15 minutes to half an hour left before I had to leave. I was like, these guys are here at the Ward booth. I'll sit down and I'll figure out what the hell John's been playing. And just sat down, started playing, and like I said, didn't have too much time, but played like I don't know 3 or 4 turns, and was like, I'll buy it. And then they were telling me about starter packs. I was like, oh, I've never like heard of that. Most games have like starter decks or whatever, but I was like, a starter pack, you can just like buy this pack and get into it. And at the time, I do game nights with my friends on Sunday, or it's actually Saturday nights, but Sunday nights at the time. And I was like, oh, we're gonna be hanging out with Harry tonight, and I was with Chris at the time. And I was like, oh, let's just all get a pack and let's play the game tonight. And we ended up doing that, and yeah.
Mm-hmm. I mean, one thing to shout out for that at TeebCon. So I also was at TeebCon, but I am very notorious for being. Tyler can attest to this. I'm usually the guy who Tyler will come with like these these ideas of like, here, let's try this new thing, let's do this new stuff, and I'm usually the guy that's like, I don't know if I'm ready to take on a new thing. Like Tyler was saying, they were just kind of getting out of their like Magic kick and stuff, and I barely got into it. I bought a pre-con. That's the limit of that I went with Magic. So just to put it in perspective, I was like, okay. Tyler's like, here, I got this new game. Let's try it. He's like, I kind of went to this booth and he was super excited. And I was like, all right, well, we'll sit down and try the game. But yeah, no. Then it comes to our game night, and yeah, we all crack our first starter packs of Ward. Gen 2 only again. Gen 1 isn't available, and our buddy Nelson, he gets the Raccoon Knight, the legendary famous Raccoon Knight, and let's just say the first night of our experience was just getting our butts handed to us by the legendary card that me and Tyler had no clue why.
It was pretty funny too, because the starter pack I ended up opening up, didn't have any legendaries or anything like that, but it did have 3 abominable deer men that I remember having in my hand for almost the entire game, waiting for someone to play a flash spell, and guess what? Neither of them had one.
Yeah,
I was so excited to play that card. Yeah.
Neither of our starter
and I just remember it was me and Harry just swinging and missing at the Raccoon Knight over and over and over again, and I was just thinking in my head, like, how do we win against this? This is unreal.
Is the most busted thing I've ever seen.
That's a crazy pull on your first pack.
Yeah, well, especially when you're reading
first pack ever.
When you're reading the little instructions, and it was just like, you have to sack for AL12s and stuff, and we're like, okay, and then he just plays this thing, and we're just like, how did you bring that out? And then he's just like, well, it just says you don't have to sack for it. I was like, what the frick? Like, okay.
I want to give y'all a little bit of background. So in Gen 1 first edition, when Time Dragon got the boot, they replaced it with Undead Dragon, which is, AL 11
4/4
80 HP 4/4, and like it was in like the I needed a big beater, it was like the card. It was like the preferred card to like just slam on the field and just start kicking butt with it. And so when they released Gen 2, and then I'm like, oh, wait a minute, I get a 4/4 with 12 armor for free? I was like, this card's crazy.
Oh, yeah. Well, that was me. By the end of that night, that was me and Tyler's thing. We were like, this card is the most busted Ward card to ever exist. But little did we know, Tyler in a couple months would make the most busted Ward card we've ever seen. Maybe we need time to move on to that part, Tyler. Do you wanna take the floor with that one?
So I mean, one of the coolest things that got me at the beginning was the playmat for the 150. I thought that was super cool, and was like, oh crap, like I can, spend my money to work towards this thing, and once it's complete, I get this cool custom thing from the creators of Ward, and it was like, oh, that's really cool. So obviously hunted for the 150, and John was into it a lot at the time, and I would go to his house probably once every 2 weeks or so, and we'd just sit there, and he was going for the 150, so I was helping him, and then he was helping me out with getting legendaries as well. And we were both getting there together. He ended up hitting it, and I remember him calling me on the phone, and was like, I got it. And I remember it was like some Amazon sale. He spent like $400 on 20 starters and just waiting for them to come in, and he's like, I finally got it. It was super cool. And I remember I had hit mine the week prior. I was just doing pulls in my car, and it was like, I don't know, the last 3 cards I think I needed, that was one of them, and I ended up hitting that and was just going absolutely nuts in my car. But then obviously started getting got the 150. John got the 150, and then he was talking about having a tournament there, and I was like, oh, cool. So then during one of those meetups that we had at his place, we were just trying to figure out like what the strongest thing. And I remember at the time, like, he was on like an Owlman Metamoth deck, where he was like, I'm pretty sure this is like the best deck like that you can make right now. And we were just going through every card. We both had our binders that were full of the 150s, so you could easily look at all the techs and stuff. And my eye caught on to Maniac because I really enjoyed Creator's Gift as a card. And I remember I was looking at Maniac. I was like, okay, if you roll over 7, so if you roll 8 or higher, you are guaranteed to crit. I was like, okay, well, what happens if you roll more than 2 dice? Like, doesn't that mean you would just get it like almost 100% of the time? And he's like, oh, I don't know. Let me call Marty. And then calls Marty. Marty's just like, I don't know. Let me call Joe. And then he calls Joe. And then he calls us back.
The way
and he's
that
like,
all this stuff gets figured out.
Yeah. And he goes, well, It says that, or Joe, what Joe told me is that anything that you have extra dice roll, like you can only roll 12. 12 as high as you can is as high you can roll. So it's like, okay, so that means like you have to roll really poorly, like even 4 2s on 4 dice
You
gets
get
you to
it.
8, which still does it. So it's like you have to roll like 2 3 1s and a 2, like
Mm.
basically it's just the odds are extremely low. It's like, okay, double damage on that, and then all the equipment that's in Gen 2 with all-in-one creator's gift, and then legendary armor also gives you 1 dice roll. Is like, I feel like this has to be the strongest thing in the game. Like, so we ended up playing it at that tournament against each other, and I was gonna say I washed all my opponents, but Harry gave me a tough semifinal game, and it was
Yeah.
best of threes. And I remember game one, I had beat John. Game two, I remember he had 3 creators gift and a maniac in his opening hand, and he just basically prayed to the Lord that I didn't have a magic eater in my opening hand. Played all 3 of them and proceeded to one shot every single one of my maniacs 3 turns in a row. So that was game
Yikes.
two. And then game three came down to where it was just me and him, no equipment, just naked maniac rolling against each other to see who would get it.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, I ended up taking it and was like, okay, this is crazy. Like the other people that I had played other than Harry, like I felt like the deck just really performed well. It was like, okay, you only need 1 maniac, 1 creator's gift. You have 3 creatures, 27 magic cards. Like this deck is really, really strong.
It's
So
funny to
then I
hear it
started
now
bringing it.
because I'm sure. Sorry, I don't want to cut you off. I'm sure a lot of people right now in Ward are like, we're over here. You're like Maniac's most busted, and then they're just like, well, there's an assassin in this, and people don't realize it's like to us that was just not even a thing yet because Gen One
Yeah, I didn't even look at
Yeah.
reprint has not happened.
Gen 1 cards. I
Yeah.
couldn't tell you a single one back then. I was like,
Hmm.
okay, these are the cards I'm playing with. These are what I'm gonna worry about
To us,
right
like
now at
to
this
us,
time.
Gen Two was the only thing that Ward was. There wasn't all of those other cards yet.
And
Sorry.
it was kind of funny at the time because I mean I ended up playing the Maniac for a month or two longer before it got inevitably nerfed. But I think I won like 2 or 3 tournaments with him. But it was kind of funny because a lot of people at the time were like, "This is like just unreal. This is so hard to deal with. Like I don't know how we beat this." And it's funny because when you look back on it, you could do the exact same thing with Ring of Extremes and Creator's Gift. So you could have just picked any creature that has higher than a 3+3 and just,
Yeah.
but nobody had come up with that at the time,
Right.
which is kind of funny because that would have been even worse to deal with, in my
No,
Yep.
opinion.
but
But
yeah, I mean, I guess if I'm to kind of jump from where I was, so we had the game night, and then it was like Tyler was like you said, getting very committed. You and John, I remember having multiple conversations where you guys were talking about just like, oh yeah, we're like still buying packs, like this is the cards we need, and all those things. And again, I'm someone who I take a long time to warm up to these things. Like I said, I didn't get into Magic at all, and so then it was like, all right, I'll buy a couple packs. And I think one of the first like big creatures, the AL12 I hit was Steam Golem, and I was like, ooh, I finally like in my mind I was like, this is amazing. And then I played it into your guys' decks, and again, Tyler's over here on Maniac Train. He's got like he's putting all his equipments, the legendary equipments on it, and my thing's a 3/3, just does like no damage. Tyler's just smashing me with like 60 damage a hit. I was like, okay, this card sucks. And and little do I know now, it's like Steam Golem might eventually become the best card. But again, as Tyler was saying, yeah. So I slowly was in the tournament scene. I would say I didn't really have the 150 for quite a while, so it was like I was just playing with kind of the more of the budget tier things. I mean, Tyler, as you'll get to know if you're in the Ward scene, he's kind of the legendary. He wants to break the game, find the best cards that he can. So like he said, he will go through all those extremes to get the 150 and the cards that he needs. So, but yeah, no, it took me a little bit of while to get to there. But yeah, as Tyler was dominating the tournament scene, I mean, I was slowly just kind of being like, all right, let's just see what I can find that can beat the Maniac. So yeah, I definitely kind of went on a little bit of a quest to be like, all right, Tyler whipped my butt so many times just playing. Like he tested that deck on me just like too much. Like a lot of people, like Tyler was saying, would go to tournaments and they're like, please, we don't want to play Maniac anymore. And I'm like, you don't even know. I've played this card so many times. That's basically
Yeah, I
my
feel like
whole
Harry
board
has. I feel like
experience.
Harry has nightmares from Maniac and Turbo. It's like
Uh, so, but
can only
yeah,
lose so many times, you know.
I
but yeah,
remember the very first. Sorry, I remember the very
no, you're
first
good.
tournament that I met y'all at, and when I played Tyler, I remember it was like it was our very first game we played, and I was like, "This is one of the sweatiest matches I've ever played." Because Erica walked by and she was like, "Y'all didn't say a word. You were just like locked in, like, and just looked like you were dying inside both of you." I'm like, "Yeah, I was serious. I knew I was against like I was trying to beat the maniac, and it came down
Billy's like,
to,
I wish I had
uh,
Necromancer Judgment right now.
yeah, well, but I was sitting there, and like my last card was Bunny Saurus, and then he had a Nakey Maniac, and then I think Tyler,
I
you'd
I
ask me, he's
remember
like,
I remember I remember the exact line. Yeah, he had his bunny
"Go
Saurus,
ahead."
and I can't remember. I had him locked out or something, but I had Naked Maniac, and that was it. He had burned through all my equipment, countered the stuff that he needed, whatever. And I was just like, I looked at him, I was like, "Do you have another creature?" And he's like, "Maybe." And he just had the bunny Saurus, and I knew that if I could kill the bunny Saurus, he would lose because he wouldn't have a summonable creature. But if I didn't kill him on that turn, he had a Steam Rex in his hand. I was like, well,
Ooh.
I can't. Oh, what did I remember I said, I don't know. I said a line. I was just like, well, might as well go for it. That's what the Maniac does. And just rolled Naked
Yeah,
Maniac. Ended up getting like an 8, just
he
to
got
barely
exactly
hit.
an 8. And it
Yeah.
Oh
just killed me. And
no.
then
I
like
have
when you pass it when you're like, okay, good game, and then I was like, there's my Steam Rex. You would if you gave me the turn, I would have won the
Yeah, he
game.
had it in his hand, and I was just sitting there pondering. I was like, well,
Uh,
I was like, I could swing now, or I could give him one turn and see what I draw. And then, yeah, I was like, well, might as well go for it.
and
And yeah,
ever since then,
I have one of those records where it's just like a football stat where it's like these teams won by one touchdown, or if you reverse the stat, it's like, oh, there goes all my tournament wins. Because I
yeah,
You
can
had
remember
I've
that
always
moment,
said
and then I can remember the moment against Chris as well. Naked Maniac swinging with an all-in-one, and that's all he had on him.
that's all.
8 takes it.
barely would have been one more hit
Yeah.
if he got one more hit on you, you would have lost. Yeah, no. Oh,
Oh
but
yeah.
so many crazy moments for that. No, and like you
Or
said,
or or I remember the tournament where I brought the Undead King, the Singleton deck or
Oh yeah.
whatever,
it
and I
locked.
remember me and John were playing against each other, and we kind of had carbon copy of each other's decks. And I remember he missed an I think he missed an Undead King hit to like make my Undead King live
Oh.
on an AL12, which is not that crazy. But then I had a perfect Shark limited summon to hit him, and I ended up missing with a 3. And I
That's
just remember
crazy.
I just remember my stomach just dropped. I was like, no.
I
And
remember
then he
watching.
ended up missing the turn after that, and I was like, thank God,
Yeah,
bro.
it's so crazy to think that it's like perfect shark with an 8 modifier. It's like, yeah, you have to literally roll like 3, so 1 and a 2 on your hit dice and to miss on AL12. It's like,
Yeah,
oh,
or I remember in that same tournament playing that deck against Zach where he had Apocalypse, and I had, basically Undead King, and if he dies, I lose. And I remember him just sitting there, and we were just rolling Apocalypse every turn, every time. I'm just like, please no, please no, please. And it never came, but god damn, it coulda, and I would have lost.
That's what
no,
makes it fun.
no, exactly. But yeah, I mean, that
Yeah, I
was
feel
kind
like
of
all three of my tournament wins, I had a game that came down to like the very last turn, or one thing could have went out of my control, and I would have lost, or I would have lost.
Mhm. No, for sure. And that was the beginning of just Gen 2 only. I mean, and like you said, Tyler, then we're gonna get to the sad moment of where the ward staff actually steps in and they say, you know what, we need to change this whole ruling, right? We need to probably adjust this because otherwise, it might get too out of hand. So what do you want to maybe go over what exactly happened then?
I don't know. I just think that they felt that if they didn't have an answer for for the Maniac, and the community also, I mean, wasn't really finding an answer for it. They didn't want that to kind of just be the only deck that people were playing at the time. So I'm guessing that's why they ended up nerfing it. I could obviously see now that it was a good idea because Maniac would still be. There's stronger things than he is now, but he would. I'd say the main hit with that nerf, now that I look back on it, is the Ring of Extremes nerf. I think if Ring of Extremes was still able to function the way with Creator's Gift, I think things would be way too strong right now. I mean, you already have enough things that are one-shotting you. This would make it like happen permanently, especially with some of the crazy combos, that we've come up with, where it's like you have a creature with like 20 dice roll, and it's like, yeah, now you crit every time. Yeah, that's kind of a problem.
Do you kind of want to just go over what exactly what they're ruling, what they
so they just made it so Maniac and Ring of Extremes both can't have extra hit dice, which is fine. Or actually, no, I think they just made
No,
Ring of
just
Extremes.
Ring of Extremes.
Yeah,
Maniac,
Ring of
you can
Extremes
still
no
have
hit
your
dice.
dice.
Maniac you still can, but if it's over 12, then it's just a normal hit.
normal hit.
Yep. So that was the bigger mechanic change, right? They basically said, all right, now through the whole thing of Ward, you can do numbers over 12, but if you do number over 12, it doesn't do an automatic crit, and that was kind of the justification of why they changed the rule, because it was just in their mind, anytime they would try to add extra hit dice or anything, that would just kind of break it, right? That would just make it a little too strong, and so. That's the first instant of where Tyler got a card nerfed and a whole mechanic of Ward changed all in a week.
Like at this point, we all have.
Yeah. Oh, don't worry. We'll keep going down. So with that, I mean, was Maniac dead, Tyler, after the nerf?
Nah, I never played it again, but I still think there's a world where you can make it work. I don't know. I just went, oh, you take away my multiplier creature. Let's go to the next multiply creature, zombie dog.
Yeah, and I think this was
a little bit
moment...
weaker, a little bit squishier, but.
And as Billy was talking about, and you guys were going back and forth about your first your first game of Ward playing against each other competitively, it's like I would say this is kind of the point where it's like, oh yeah, now we were all kind of on this brain, like, all right, what are our cards we can break in Ward? And I think everybody was like, honestly, you breaking Maniac, I think really like opened up the door for a lot of people to like be inspired to be like, let's find these next things. And I mean, I'm sure you and Billy can kind of bounce off. I think you guys definitely have had some brainstorming sessions when it came to, like you said, zombie dog. There's a couple other Gen 2 creatures that definitely.
Well, I think it's kind of funny though, because when Gen 1 did come into the meta, I just remember Hourglass of Time. You just read it and you're like, there's some way this can break the game. No one. It took a little while for people to find it, but Billy ended up finding, with the, what was it, Swamp Dragon? No,
Black
Dragon.
It's Black Dragon.
Yeah.
Hourglass of Time and Irresistible Love, and you don't really need Irresistible Love.
Yeah, and Visitor from Beyond or Holy Light. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. I mean, once you play the game long enough, and I mean, even when we played the Gen 3 playtest, you just look at something and you go, I could break that.
Mm-hmm. No, for sure.
Yeah.
I think now looking back at Gen 2, though, just at the end there was a point where I used like you guys said, that it kind of went from Maniac and these creatures to more of, like you said, a kind of the speed. Like you said, the zombie dogs with a bunch of equipments. And again, me and Tyler come from Gen 2 only, where Assassin, we don't even have that understanding of why that creature exists or how much stronger Assassin is than the zombie dog. But I mean, zombie dog, kind of like Rogue, it has that effect of like, if you attack first, you get to have the 3 times damage, and so that's kind of what the meta turned in at to like the end of like the Gen 2 only era. And then, like I said, I was using some Wizard Frog tech, which honestly at the time I didn't realize how crazy Wizard Frog can be. Where this is kind of where even in today's day and age, it's like, oh, some cards in Ward have weird timings on them, where it's like Wizard Frog. If people don't know, you can literally use its effect at any point in your turn. So it's like you could literally, once you've landed a hit, even you can basically use its effect, discard your card, make that ×2 damage, and it's just like, I don't know. I think it's kind of a crazy effect, but
at the time too, we were playing it where you would just like do it at the beginning of your turn. So half the time you discard a card and then you'd miss the attack, and it's like, oh well, that fucking sucks.
No,
Yeah,
exactly. It's like just the evolution, though, like you said. But certain these are the cards, right, that started hitting the meta. I mean, Steam Rex, as Tyler was saying, Billy had a Steam Rex, but like that was definitely starting to become like the deck. Perfect Shark. I mean, once people started to actually crack the packs and get those things, it's like, all right, Perfect
Never
Shark.
forget
hey,
Shark Week.
never. Shark Week was so bad.
God, that tournament is like how many? There's 8 perfect shark decks. Like, what?
Tyler, I
Every
was
single
so
game that you
excited.
play is just perfect sharks.
I was so excited to play you in the finals because I'm like, thank you, not a shark deck.
Yeah, yeah, seriously. Yeah, basically everyone at that tournament just getting. I remember it was like top 4. It's just like or top 8. It was like, yeah, there's 6 shark decks in me and Billy. It's like, oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, hey, it's all right. Even with all those shark decks, and the sharks have never won a tournament yet. So you know what, my
Never
my,
won.
my irresponsible take from so long ago still going strong at 1 year mark at WWB.
That's a good take.
But
Hey, you wait. Just you wait here.
yeah, but either way, I mean, then after that, Gen 1 reprint comes out. Tyler and Harry finally look at the other cards that have existed in Ward for a very long time. We get a secret Gen 151 Silence from the
That
Grave.
was
I
fun.
mean, do you guys, Billy, maybe you want to start off with this, but we'll definitely get Tyler's perspective on just like what it looked like for all the cards to finally be activated in the Ward scene.
Yeah, it was fun. I liked it a lot. The 151 card. When I first saw it, I'm like, you're serious? Like, this is a card? I was like, okay, I guess I'll just go get a bunch of those. And then, like, you figure out you can't play 3 of them, but, like, it's still really good. And now it's garbage, but that's besides the point.
But it was a really
Um,
crazy moment, right? Because somebody just like was like, "Hey," like they posted in the Discord. They're
what
just
is
like, "Yeah," they're
this?
like, "Hey, has like anyone even seen this thing?" Like, he's like, "I'm
Yeah,
not
that,
sure
that
what
was
this is."
Ryan.
Yeah,
It was
I
the
remember
first
he
secret
got the
card.
cards
Yeah.
before everyone got theirs, and yeah, it's just like, was this a Gen 1? Like, no,
yeah,
that's
No.
weird.
yeah.
Which is fun because I don't want to jump ahead, but like, they've said there's cards in Gen 1 Edition 3, Gen 2 Edition 2, and Gen 3 Edition 1 that we don't know about. So like
Gotta buy the
supposedly there's gonna be
packs.
more of those.
Gotta buy the packs. Yeah, no, exactly. But yeah, so then that comes out. I mean, definitely shakes up the meta. I mean, you start getting a lot of these decks that had Gen 1 cards that they kind of like made like parts for them in Gen 2, but like you couldn't really make the decks. Um, Obviously, all these crazy cards like Revival Priest are now being mixed in with Gen 2, and like Billy was saying, Judgment, Necromancer. I mean, it kind of really opened up the field of like cards again, right? Like, I mean, for you, Tyler, it was like, okay, you lost Maniac, but now it's like, all right, could I find maybe something in this next gen that are like with the Gen 1, coming in? I mean, what was kind of the initial take when, we were seeing those cards be re-released?
Yeah, I mean, it was good because I don't know. I feel like obviously the cards in Gen 1 are very different from Gen 2, so it was like, oh, kind of a fresh look at how cards or decks would interact. Obviously, you have Visitor from Beyond Holy Light, where it's like, oh, these cards are just straight up better than the ones that were in Gen 2, like Frog of Fortune or Peddling Partridge. It's like,
They're
wait, this
just
card is
straight up.
just that card, but better.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I mean, Twister. That's always a big card for me. I had played card games in the past. And it's like, oh, draw 2 cards. How can I
Mm,
break that? And I would say that we found a way that even with one draw spell in the entire game, we found a way to fit it into a lot of different decks. And
that's
I
true.
I, I yeah, I mean, I just like that card a
It,
lot. It was like before. I mean, I enjoyed Magic Eater, and I still enjoy Magic Eater, especially in decks that are like equip decks where you're not looking forward to blow up your entire, all of
right.
your equipment as well. Um, but yeah, I just like any card game, having more cards means more options, and I like winning card games. And the more options you have in a card game, the better chance you have to win. So
You know what's funny, Tyler, is that when Gen 2 came out and I saw Magic Eater, I'm like, oh, this is Twister, but straight up better. Because
Yeah,
people all use Twister to blow up the field, and it was like, well, I really need to get rid of their equips, but I'll have to sacrifice some of mine. And when it was Magic Eater, it was like, great.
yeah.
Yeah, and I still think, I mean, in my opinion, like that, you still Magic Eater is the best spot for decks that you are playing like equip decks, which is what makes it so good in Gen 2 because there's so many strong equips, especially with like the first law now. Like, oh my god, I need 3 copies of that, bro.
Yeah.
No cap on a stack.
I think if I'm if
No.
you know if I'm to give my perspective on the when the Gen 1 released, I mean, as you were saying, Tyler, a lot of strong cards, but I really think it just made Ward a whole different game. Like Gen 1 in itself, I mean, Billy, you might have had a little experience with this, but it's like for Gen 2, it was like it felt like it was creature, hit creature, put a powerful equips on. I mean, Tyler's Maniac, Zombie Dog, like that was kind of like what drove the games most often. But now with Gen 1, it totally felt like it was like, okay, I don't even really need to like fight my opponent too much. I can there's like Tyler was saying, there's strategic ways that I can almost like get around that whole interaction that I can like give myself the best odds to win. And I really think that was like a big thing that Gen 1 kind of opened up when it came to those things. It was like there was a lot of different play styles than just buff up a creature with a ton of cards, make it as the strongest thing it is. You know, like we just weren't ready for what to expect. I mean, you know, with all the bouncing, with all the heck, Flame of the Infinite, probably the most dreaded crack pack card that I will ever. Oh my goodness!
Yep.
Like, oh, I just remember the first time experiencing that in a crack pack. It was like the first tournament they threw on that was Gen 1 reprint, and literally I'm playing up against Marty, and I'm like, all right, I think I have a pretty good deck. You know, I was like, I had one legendary card. I can't remember exactly what it was. I think it was like Stone Golem or something. So I was just jacked to like at some point someone's gonna play something. I can just like bounce it to put Stone Golem on the field. And then yeah, Marty just comes out with the Flame of the Infinite. Literally in like probably less than 10 minutes, I lose just because my creatures are just getting like 2 hit every time. It was like, wow, this card is insane. Like Gen 2 doesn't have a card like this. I mean, it kind of does, like all in one, but it's like you really have to set it up. Where that a card just was just doing it so much work. And so I guess you know that was definitely just like a different perspective on Ward, where I think it really like changes the game when you add those Gen 1 cards. And I think even to this current day, Gen 1 just really stands on its own of like it definitely has a different feel than like where I think Ward was with the Gen 2 and just kind of that creature on creature fighting. What do you guys, is that kind
Yeah,
of the similar?
sort of. Yeah, I mean, kind of. I mean, it depends what you play. Like, crack packs are different, and you can definitely make a really good Gen 1 deck that is just unga bunga. So it just depends how you play it. So I think that really actually kind of sums up what really got me into Ward is like there were a lot of different ways to play it. Like you could play like really magic strategic, you could play really creature strategic, you could play I mean at the time there's you can play discard, you can play bouncing, you can play creature negate. Like there's just a bunch of ways to play it. I really like that.
Right.
And what gets me excited about Ward going forward is like we're just opening the doors for more of those options, even though they've taken some of those away, probably for the better of the card game health. But we're getting more options and more cards, and I think we're gonna see a lot of good stuff.
Right. I guess for me is like the one thing, I mean, I don't know how much you guys remember, but it was like Gen 1 reprint released, and it was just like, all right, here comes Ward Bowl. I mean, I don't know how much you guys can remember how quick of a span it was, but it was a couple months, and then it was like, now we're gonna play in this big tournament, and not a lot of people have had time to play tournaments and test these cards. And I mean, I'm sure you guys all will love to talk about just Ward Bowl and that experience. I mean, we've covered it a couple times, but right, that's where the dreaded birds, may I say, have entered the scene, and where Harry breaks a card in the game with Elkanos, Elkanos and Harpies. And I think that definitely a pretty cool moment though in Ward, right? I mean, obviously Tyler coming off of so many tournaments, just having a crazy record. I mean, you can't overstate, Tyler. You literally went to like every tournament, probably as close as you could to this area, that you can make it to. And so
Just not runes and relics.
yeah,
That was
just
it.
Lamau.
it's okay.
The
I don't think
cursed.
I don't think they're throwing on many tournaments these days anyway, so it's okay.
Unfortunately, I wasn't looking for any chainmail at the time, or it would have been the perfect spot. But
All right, but again, I mean, with that, I mean, there was 20 people that showed up to Ward Bowl, right? And like you said, it was just like, I mean, for you guys too, didn't it feel like it was just kind of this free for all of like, all right, I hope the strat that I kind of decided was the strongest thing is what it is, and everybody's just gonna have to kind of jump into this and do what they can with what they've got. I really think it was like a very experimental tournament, especially as it progressed through. It was like you definitely got to see just like the different versions of what people kind of thought were like, okay, this is what's gonna like take over the game.
the number 2 player went 20th. Oof, that was a bad tournament for him that day.
Yeah,
It's a bad tournament for me too, I guess. But
no, come on. I think you did really well. You can't make second
me
place.
and Billy had to self-sacrifice on each other in the bracket.
Billy's
It
over
was
here.
a sad time.
Billy's over here getting proxy cards get erased from tournaments.
Yeah, well, I didn't enjoy that either.
Uh,
There were proxies. They were just
good
alt
times.
arts.
We had to send. We had
good
to send one of us had to be the champion, and we still
That's
couldn't do it.
fun.
And for the love of God, no dice trays were ever at that tournament.
No dice trays.
God damn it.
True. Yeah, I was pretty
That
upset. I'm
filthy-
still triggered about that.
filthy,
Low-key.
filthy first rank player using his gun.
You know, all I'm saying, bro, is make sure you ban dice trays from this one because I want it to be consistent. You know?
Yeah, now it's got to be a fucking rule.
That's the
All
one
right.
tournament that they're banned.
Harry,
It's
what do we
Harry.
got?
It's my kryptonite.
Tyler,
You
can't
know,
win a
if you had
tournament
dice trays, it might have gone
yeah, Tyler
differently.
can't win a tournament without the dice.
That's what I'm saying, bro. I'm telling you, me and Harry played that matchup like 20 times before the tournament. He didn't win a single one. Take my dice tray away. Look at what happens.
It's all right.
Lost twice in one day.
I'll tell you the secret how you beat Harry. You just read the extended card text descriptions.
That's exactly right.
Holy,
Let's just say that the Ward team knew that if they took the dice trays away, I wasn't winning that day.
For people
morale
at home,
eating.
when you have that friend, cough Billy Hughes, that literally just like cracks down on every goddamn rule. Now just imagine you're in the most intense Ward match of your life, sitting at the Ward Bowl, and everyone around you goes, "Yeah, that's not how this card works." You're just like, "Wow, thanks for taking me out of my goddamn concentration trying to win a."
Hey, listen, it's not my fault you played it wrong. I'm just trying to make sure we're playing an honest game.
Yeah. So was everyone else.
The funniest part about all those things though is when you bring a deck to a tournament knowing that you know rule that other people probably don't, and then having their mind like blown and or get super tilted off of the fact that something works the way it shouldn't.
Yeah, let's talk about double hit, Harry.
No. Hey, thank God.
I wish you could have been there, Tyler. That was great.
No, well, how about we first just say, so at the end of it all, Birds were triumphant, and since the Birds only won one tournament ever, they needed to get changed.
That's not true.
They needed to get changed. Okay, it's not
Harry,
true.
if you wouldn't
you
keep
won that
if you wouldn't keep saying that they're so strong, maybe they wouldn't have changed them.
Oh my! Well, no, it's the fact that Joe was like, "Let me play that deck" like 3 times, and I was just like, "All right." And yeah, creators don't.
Yeah,
stand
but
a
Harry,
chance
it can't be
before.
that because he played my Maniac deck and he said that was not that great. Oh, thanks, Joe.
That was
You're
not that
you're the
great.
homie, bro.
Oh, but hey, still
That's
got
what he said to me, and they still nerfed him. Yeah.
Still nerfed them, and then they got the Birds. Yeah, no, and then
All right,
Well,
where,
you know
all
what
right,
they-
where,
you know-
where are we
you-
going?
okay, fair enough. So with
Where
that,
are we going?
obviously, Ward Bowl's over, and then like you were saying, Billy, we were moving forward to kind of getting to now. Now is tournaments have been going on, Gen 2, Gen 1, waiting for Gen 3 release. And it kind of brings us to present day. Most people, like I said, at that point, the birth of I guess at that point, Ward WWB it did exist, right? That was kind of the gist of this whole story. Was right before Ward Bowl, we all kind of came together and we decided, we talk about this game enough. We should definitely just let let everybody else get to have a piece of our conversation and join in and give something to the community. And so with that, we started making Ward Bowl. We started doing this podcast. We started getting, or sorry, not Ward Bowl, WWB, Ward Bowl Junior. There, Billy, I'm shouting it out now.
Yeah, Ward Bowl Junior.
Ward Bowl Junior. Yes, but anyway, we started WWB. We started, getting all of our videos, and now there's a collection online that everybody can basically see from that point to now, just all the things that have happened in Ward and all those. If you want to see Tyler crash out when they nerf Maniac, that's on there. If you want to see the Shark Mania, that's on there. The Scarlet v Scarlet match, that's covered on it. It's just so much of the history, Ward Bowl, all those things have been covered up to this point. And so, you know what, I thought this was just a good thing to kind of get the community caught up, put it in the history book of, just kind of encapsulate so far what WWB has kind of, captured and shown of the Ward scene. And so, yeah, no, I think it's a fun thing to kind of go back down memory lane and have all those moments. And like you said, I mean, we're going to make more going forward too, with once the release party here next week happens. And so, I thought it was a good thing to capture all this stuff for us. And so, with that, boys, are you ready to maybe drop some irresponsible takes? Yes.
Oh boy.
All right. For anyone that doesn't know, there was a gag at the very beginning, I would say, of like Gen 2, that a guy named Scott, shout out Scott. A lot of people probably don't know you because you're quite quiet these days and don't come to the tournaments, but we all love you, Scott. He said at one point, we were talking about irresistible love, and he said irresponsible love. And ever since then, I made a segment called Irresponsible Takes, which is basically we're all going to give a take that is outrageous, that the community doesn't agree with, and it's not, most people don't think it is a good take, and we got to defend it and basically say why we believe it is that way and why everyone else should believe us and should agree with us that is what it is. So with that, boys, does anyone want to take it, or do you want me to start off? All right,
You can go.
I'll start. All right, you ready to hear my irresponsible take? I think at the Ward Bowl 2, or I don't even know what they're gonna call it, Ward Bowl the second,
Electric Boogaloo.
with Ward Bowl Junior as part of it. Again, we need the Ward Bowl Junior.
Because it's happening, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
make that happen, Ward staff. We need a crack pack tournament underneath the Ward Bowl that a bunch of people that didn't get to make it in on the Ward of Honors and the ranked
Or fell out of the Ward Bowl.
Yeah, or fall out of the Ward Bowl, get to play in, and basically just have another event alongside. We need Ward Bowl Junior. I want a Ward Bowl Junior champion too.
Think about how many matches we'd be playing at the same time. All right, good.
Anyway, tangenting. But here, coming back to my hot take, I think the top 10 players in Ward Bowl will not win the tournament. I think it will be somebody who is not in the top 10. All right.
I'm 20th, bro.
That's my hot take, and it's not because Tyler's it's not because Tyler's the 20th. All right, it's not because Tyler's the 20th. Here we go. You want to hear my reasonings? All right. So first,
reason away.
First is that Gen 3 is getting released very close to the date of Ward Bowl. So I think again that's going to create a lot of chaos. I think a lot of things that are not going to be explored very well, and I think people can get quite a good advantage on just even some of the high level players of Ward at the moment, because there won't be a lot of experience to go around. As you can look on the calendar, there's not a lot of tournaments or anything that they've got set up really for that time span besides these cons, which obviously I don't think these cons really give any data of what's good in the meta, what'll be great. So I really do think it's just going to be a lack of experience with the new cards, plus just, trying to understand the new rules that they implemented. That's another one of my things, is the rules are potentially going to cause some problems for people just trying to adjust to those new rules too. And I think with all these chaotic things, it's going to really affect just potentially making it a lot of upsets for a lot of these high-ranking warlords on the rank and honors. And I think there's a good chance that one of the top 10 players are not going to win Ward Bowl. And as I say that, two of them are sitting here in this call. myself included.
What what rules? What do you think is so different about the rules that's going to cause chaos?
I just think there's a lot of changing things, Billy, and there's not a lot of time. And I think all those chaotic things, as Jerry himself, the chaotic master, would say, anyone can win this tournament.
I I hear you. I've been playing with the new rules for a while. I've been playing ever since I started playing it the day like they released it. It's not that different. Like it's if it changes something subtly, and if you play those kind of decks, like if you play Steam creatures or limited summons, you should know them by now. And if you don't, well, that's on you. And
Okay.
I'm saying by Ward Bowl, all right. So like not right now. I get it. Like
Okay, I just need to know, Billy. Are you on? Did I convince you? Are you on my side that there's a good chance that, or I should say
uh,
that there is no other chance other than the fact that no one of the top 10 are going to win the Ward Bowl.
I'm not tanking to get to 11th to prove your theory. So no,
Oh,
I don't
okay.
agree.
See, that's where you have to take the right
My
thing.
role in the Ward Bowl is the hitman. You know,
You, I
just
have.
pick who I
If
want to
you
play first
actually,
round.
if you actually just like float around like 18 to 20, I'm terrified. I do not want a round one loss because I have to play Tyler at rank 18.
See, I wanted to use Tyler as a red herring because he's down at the lower end, and that I wanted when I
Yeah.
first said it, I wanted everyone to just be like, "Oh,
Exactly last.
it's because Tyler, yeah, it's because Tyler's
I
not in
mean,
the top 10." But
it's
no,
not
that,
outlandish because Joe T
mm-hmm,
was like 15th or 16th and he got third. So
yeah, no, and
Yeah.
I think there was a lot of upsets even with, like I said, and again, here, the data will prove itself. In the first Ward Bowl, again, like I said at the end of the our recap of
Second
it,
one, 20th. Can't
yeah,
say it again.
no, but that's what I'm getting at. But why do these things potentially happen? Because we got thrown a bunch of new cards, well, not new, but a bunch of cards that weren't really mixed in with Gen 2. When the Gen 1 reprint, came in, and we only had a short period where people could kind of really like practice and work on it. And I think honestly, it really affected the ranking outcomes where people were, high level warlords were even, toppled by people who were kind of just getting into the scene, which I think is
I
cool,
will say
but
the limited list did get changed 30 days before the Ward Bowl. So I mean, I guess
mhm.
that's a factor too.
Yeah, like I said, there's just a lot, right? Or a lot of things, a lot of stuff that hadn't been worked out yet, and you didn't. I feel like it just created a lot of inexperience of knowing knowledge and things on the game that made it possible for a lot of upsets to happen and a lot of things. And I think as the trajectory for this one is going, I mean, yes, there might be a little bit more time than we did last year to have before the War Bowl when new cards and stuff were implemented, but I think, come on, I think for a hot take, I think I defended it pretty well. But
It's like the 2015 Juggernaut patch, you know? Happens to the best of us.
but that's the thing. I
Happens to
was
the
hoping
best.
one of you guys would just go, "Oh no, well the top 10 are just they're the best," and you can't argue that
No,
because
I'm
they're
not
the top.
saying that. I just think it's unlikely.
I would argue that the top 10 people should be the best, right? That should be your hardest competition. So you know what? I don't know. Either way, it's a hot take, right? Come on, we all agree that was a good hot take.
Hell yeah.
All right,
All
Billy, Tyler,
right, Tyler, you go
who
next.
wants to give their hot
Tyler,
take?
go next.
I don't know if I have a hot take.
Ooh.
I feel
Come.
like I've just tried to be a gentleman on the podcast, you know?
Mm.
Um, I don't know. I mean, it's not a hot take, but I'm excited for the mix of all the gens because I think there's going to be a lot of different decks that are able to be played.
All right, what's a hot card that you think people aren't thinking about? Maybe that'll be a good hot take.
I don't know. That's also the weird thing is I'm better at making decks when the cards are actually in my hand. So I've been just waiting for Saturday, like of the 21st. Just been waiting for it so before I actually start cooking. You know,
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, I just think with
I
all the buffs,
I just
all the
think there's a lot
things.
of things that in this generation you're going to be able to do that you weren't ever able to do. I'll
Okay.
say this maybe I don't know a Gen 3 deck that we've never seen before win the Ward Bowl.
Ooh, okay. How many cards
A
is
deck that we haven't seen
Yeah, how
before.
many cards would you say would need to be in the deck to be like, all right, a deck we've not seen before? Because I'm assuming people are still running like Holy Lights, like a lot of those recur,
I'd
things.
say like
Well,
15.
Okay, half the deck is cards
Just
that.
well,
the general goal of the deck, I guess.
Okay.
well. I mean, you could put if you played 3 Alkanos, 2 Harpy, and then 25 Gen 1 cards, you would call it an Alkanos deck. So I would say it's defined by like the play style.
Yeah, the
So
deck's
Right.
goal.
Okay, but I
like
mean,
so if someone's playing a bunch of graphs and a bunch of Octa Orcs, like you're gonna call it a graph deck, you know.
so what Tyler's
Yeah.
basically saying is that Gen 3 is stronger than any of the decks and things of Gen 1 and Gen 2 is kind of what you're saying is those decks will be kind of replaced by something and so that we won't have you're saying
No, it'll
Elkanos.
be an amalgamation of them, but I think it's just stuff that we haven't yet seen before in
So
Ward, because
El-
obviously things like
Elkanos will not
possession or
Elkanos will not
no.
win. All right. Okay. Well, I mean, I have to be your opposition here, and I have to go. Elkanos will be the winning Ward Bowl deck. Someone
You're
might
not
be
gonna play
piloting
Alkanos.
Elkanos.
Mistletoe, here we come, bro.
Somebody might be somebody
Mistletoe.
might be might be egotistically piloting Elkanos at the Ward Bowl
Okay,
tournament.
so this will be my hot take. Everyone bring mistletoe to the Ward Bowl. It's not a hot take.
Oh, I love
The
it.
end. End of my story.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's a. I would say it is a hot take. Your original take. Sorry. The fact that a new deck is gonna win the Ward Bowl. I guess. The way I look at it is like there aren't really like I mean yeah some have creature defining decks but there are more decks that are like this is a burn deck this is small creature speed deck
I don't
it's
know.
like
Just think
Yeah,
like
but I
3
mean,
decks we've
I could
talked about
see.
in this tournament or like in this podcast: Maniac, Turbo, Alkanos. Those are all 3 completely different decks and run completely different cards, and they all have a
Yep.
very different goal from one another.
that's fair.
Yeah. I mean, I could see a world where like someone makes like a just a hit it out Cabal War Chief deck and just goes like ultimate aggro with it and does really well. So that's a new deck, you know.
hmm I really want to
Yeah, I
see
just
what.
think one thing. Maybe this is another hot take. There might be a little bit too much damage in the game.
Hmm.
That's a hot
I think
take.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
think I think the fact that you can one shot creatures like a Cabal War Chief, I think it makes it a little less easy to run those cards because like when you think of running a deck, you're like, oh, you look at Zombie Dog and you're like, oh, I could one shot something that with that, but something could also one shot me. But I'd rather one shot something knowing that if they kill me, it's 30 HP, and if I one shot them, it's 120 HP.
Yeah, 130 for the Cabal, but you're actually like
Yeah.
taking the argument that I was gonna kind of use against you. I think the Gen 1 cards and like backstab and all these cards that already do exist, I think some of them make it very hard, like very hard. Now, I'm not saying that you can't make a deck from Gen 3 that are gonna like take over the meta, but I do think they are very strong cards that are very hard to replace with other cards. So I don't know.
Yeah,
Hey,
I just think like the what's that one armor whatever that you equipped and
like
whenever they deal damage to you, you roll a dice and it's like you could inflict it on them,
Shield of Light.
heal. Yeah, like cards like that'll definitely assist with that.
hmm
Maybe
yeah.
I'm thinking. Yeah, Shield of Light. Yeah, that's a crazy card.
Yeah, it's very good.
All right.
Reflecting, healing, or destroys it, do nothing or whatever. Pretty
Shield
strong.
of Light, an advantage, baby.
That's
Good or
that's where
bad,
it
just
really comes down to the dice rolls, you know.
Okay. No, hey, it's a hot take. I mean, obviously, there's only so much data to back it up. I don't think it's crazy, right? I mean, obviously, like you said, it's like Turbo. Like Turbo didn't. It was a deck that didn't have a lot of data, and it's like it plays really well, and that was kind of the only tournament it was played in was the Ward Bowl. So, I mean,
never won a tournament though.
has never won a tournament. You're right, Billy, but yeah, I mean, it's just it's good.
Specifically, Eternal Turbo.
Yeah. All right. I like your hot take, and you're right. Yeah, I think it will be interesting to see what the mix of the. I mean, at least for me, the tournament, what Ward Bowl will have. All right, Billy, what do you got?
My hot take. I've thought about it and I'm here. I hope you like this one. I think this is a two-parter. The first part of it is that Gen 3 will be the most competitive friendly generation that we've had so far. So you may say, okay, whatever, fine. And the real hot take is that you do not need any legendaries. You can build a very competitive deck with epic and below.
Whoa. Okay.
I don't think you need any legendaries. Now they're good and they're going to help, but like I would not be shocked if we see Gen 3 only tournament winners with like one legendary or less.
Blasphemy.
The Nah, it's not because I want think about this. If you look at the common and
Real quick,
uncommon
is
cards
your
from
hot
Gen
take? Wait, can I just restate your hot take? Is it like
Sure.
cards under Gen 3 cards under legendary are going to be more competitively viable than the legendary cards of Gen 3? Is that what you're saying?
No, no, what I'm saying is that if you I'm saying you can build a competitively viable deck without legendary cards
Okay. See, I don't know.
in
I
Gen
don't know
3.
how. Okay. I'll say that's kind of a mild take, I guess, because I think yeah, that's.
That's a mild take?
Well,
Okay.
I just think it's
Tyler
like.
just called me blasphemy.
Well, no, because yeah, like I think there's a way to word your take to make it a hot take, right? Like I said, like if you just say legendary, like the rarities below legendary in Gen 3 are like way more competitive than the legendary cards. I think that's like then I'm like, damn, that's a take because like you're basically saying that there isn't any good legendary cards in Gen 3. You know what I'm saying?
No, that's not what I was saying. I do think a lot of the I do think there's a lot of cards under legendary that are better than a lot of the legendary cards though.
In
So
Gen
I
3.
think
Yeah, so just
in Gen
make
3
it the
and
hot take,
also
Billy. You might as well just make it the hot take.
all
Just
right.
say screw the legendary
Also
cards.
screw the legendaries. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Which
Blasphemy.
there's a lot of really good common cards. There's a lot of really good uncommon cards. There's a lot of really good rare cards. There's a
Mm-hmm.
lot of good, really good epic cards. I could build, and I'm not saying Steam Angel. Don't think that's the route I'm going down. Take your Steam Angel deck and do your thing. I'm saying in general, there are some really good cards, and I think you don't need to like dump a ton of money into the game to like get a really competitive, viable deck, and that's really, really healthy for the game. So I'm not saying that's going to be my goal for Gen 3, but I might be showing up with no legendary decks for Gen 3 tournaments. And you can prove me wrong.
Tyler, bring the
Man, playing
full
average. No.
Tyler, bring the full legendaries to you got Tyler's got to show you up. He you know how Tyler does it. He'll bring all the legendaries, and then we'll have to see it how it rocks out.
Triple Bidder's gift, man. I got it.
I don't
Yeah, well,
know.
I'm saying Gen 3 only because
Gotcha. Makes
I'm saying
sense.
just Gen 3 only.
I don't
I don't want to
know.
because Gen 1 and Gen 2 have some good legendaries. Okay, don't get me wrong.
Okay,
And Gen
okay.
3 has good legendaries. I'm just saying the power level of Epic and below is skyrocketed with Gen 3.
Yeah, and I think that I don't know. Again, I think it's a good take. I don't know if it's really a hot take because I would agree with you on that too. I think all those no because it's like again maybe everybody else doesn't believe that, but I think a lot of those cards, like if you would have put these cards, these common and uncommon cards in Gen 1 and Gen 2, I think they would have standed out significantly, right? I mean, can we like at least I agree with that with your statement there, Billy,
Yeah,
right? It's like I do think
yeah,
those
but most people think that if I just load up my deck with legendaries, I'm going to win the game,
mhm.
and I don't think that's true. I've never thought that's true, but I especially don't think it's true with Gen 3.
Mhm.
Like I'm committed to the bit. I
I
don't need no
definitely thought that was
legendaries.
a little bit true at the beginning in Gen 2 when I first started, low key, but probably not anymore.
With Gen 2 it was that way.
Yeah, like you just load it up with as many legendaries as you can.
Mm.
You're probably good.
Yeah, I think the tricky thing with Ward is a lot of times AL12s end up being legendary creatures, and I do just think with the way the meta has been, it's like they don't actually correlate well with like power and Ward at the at the moment. And obviously
Yeah.
Gen 3 kind of makes it a difference. So that's where it's like I kind of feel like I kind of go against Billy a little bit where it's just like Gen 3 actually AL12 legendaries probably are more viable than they've ever been before, right? I mean, you brought up the creator
Yeah, but
and
a lot of that is because of the support cards. I mean, like bait, like Soul Eater, like you know.
Yeah.
Legendary cards.
Oh, sure,
Mhm.
but you legendary cards above legendary cards. Okay, I'm not playing with those. I'm going to play with the epic and under. You know what I
No,
mean?
I guess Hey,
And,
I'm just trying to.
uh,
I'm trying to make your
also,
take as hot as I possibly can here, Billy. You
the
gotta.
way I look at deck building is that I like having duplicates for consistency, and
Mm,
I can get duplicates of rares and epics. I can't always get duplicates of legendaries. So
yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense.
No, it's fair. I just think if I was to make a counter argument, I would just say that it's like like I said, the legendaries I think feel more impactful in Gen 3 just because there aren't bounce mechanics that easily get rid of these creatures. There aren't like crazy psychic toad that can just steal things, basically trumps most other things, and it's just like I don't think there's really that per se in Gen 3, but I do think you're right. It's like I think the power level of just the entire set is powerful or like stronger than Gen 1 and Gen 2 of just like how strong. Like Tyler kind of brought up damage, right? It's like, oh, there's too much damage in the game. It's like it feels like they've definitely cranked it up to like, okay, we don't want games to last long. We want things to like hit hard and creatures to die fast. You know what I mean? And so it's like, I don't know. I think I
I don't
see more
know.
of that than, you know, the stalling. You don't really see ghost. You're not seeing ghost forms, metallic bone. You're not seeing all these
Well,
like.
maybe you will. Maybe you will start to. You know.
I know. I'm just saying that it feels like they go away from protection and it's more just like counterplay, right? You see cards like Cybernetic Upgrade where it's like, okay, yes, I'm gonna get hit, but hey, I'm gonna hit you hard, right? There are still like negate damage and things, but I don't know. I feel like there's so I don't know. It's like your take too. It's like I feel like the book like ancient book like that equip card is insane. Like I don't know, dude. Like some of the stats on some of these like Tyler would have loved to have had that card with Maniac. It's like there's stuff like that. You're just like imagine if that card existed in the other generations. It's just like that would be a nutty card to
Uh,
have.
maybe my hot take is I think Ancient Book is just okay. I don't really care for it.
Ugh. Okay. All right, there, that's a hot take. Like I'm saying, I don't think your take isn't like it's not like it isn't hot at all, but it's I don't know. I think people are I think the community kind of agrees that it's like there's a lot of good cards, and I like what you're saying though. I think for the health of the game, I think it is good that they have powerful cards at all the rarities because it's like at the end of the day, it's like you kind of want even average Joe or any of these cards to feel like they can be kind of impactful in the game, and you
Average Joe is going to be phenomenal when Gen 3 releases.
there
Let me
you
tell you what.
go. No,
No,
maybe
it
not a
really
hot
is
take.
going to be so
Maybe not a
good.
hot take.
That's not a hot take. That's just like an observation. There's
Mm,
there's just going to be I felt like average Joe because it's the fact of like there's only so many cards so far. But it
mm,
was still a good format. Like we still had some diverse decks, but like there was some holes that kind of needed to be patched, like, metallic bones.
right.
You just can't do anything about it unless
And
you have a Kendo Tiger. But now there's like a couple different ways to deal with it. So
I think
I think it's good.
this is a great spot to plug. We'll plug Tristan at Curious Crow. He's throwing on Average Joe tournament on the February 21st again at noon. So and it's gonna have the Gen 3 cards as Billy's talking about. So you'll get to be
Yeah.
the first to play an Average Joe with all the three generations. So I guess this is maybe where we start winding down here, guys. We're gonna wrap it up. But yeah, again, shout outs next week. Big week for everybody. We're having the release party of Gen 3, multiple locations. I already talked about earlier in the episode. So if you're watching it, go back and check out where the different locations
When
are.
sorry, sort of cut you off, but since we're getting towards the end of the episode, there probably will be a really big giveaway during the live stream on the 21st. So make sure you guys tune in.
No, and yeah, we
Probably a
already did.
giveaway that bigger giveaway than we've seen yet in the Ward community. So from
Okay.
WWB, we're going to be doing a big giveaway.
Yeah, and Tyler, give them the information. Where are we live streaming at for WWB?
Globe News in Superior, Wisconsin. The three of us will be there with Marty. We're planning on doing stuff all day. We got John, I guess, just posted the tournament the other day. It's gonna start at noon as well. I think it's a crack pack. I think we plan on trying to do a podcast there, while it's going on. And yeah, big giveaway. So make sure everyone tunes in, and if you can make it to Globe, come see us.
No, definitely. Yeah, like I said, noon. We're gonna have the live stream. So if you can't make it, jump on the live stream and experience it with us too. We want to try to get everybody involved that we can all throughout the Ward community. Get everybody involved in this tremendous moment of Ward where we're all gonna get to really see how the remastered, how the Gen 3, all these things are just coming together finally. And I think it'll all come together and make a great moment, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And so with that, I do really quick. We did have one person send us a question in, so thank you to Cosmic Quinn. I will shout you out. Their question was, what is the theme that we would like for the Gen 4 release? So now let's wind forward another year. And all right, boys, what would we like the theme of Gen 4 to be?
Um, More. We got orcs this gen. We got kind of were decks as the last gen. I'd like to just see more like tribal stuff going on. Vampires or elementals. Obviously, the elementals are doing pretty well as well with like the water elitoid and stuff, but
Mhm.
fire elitoid in the new gen. But I think it'd be cool to see like more tribal stuff going on. Maybe certain cards like World or that's the is it called World of Orcs?
Yep, World of Orcs.
Yeah, yeah, just the card that makes it so you get like plus dice roll for your orcs or whatever.
Oh no, it's
Army
Army of
More
Army
card,
Orcs.
of
I thought
Orcs.
you just meant
yeah, more cards
what
like
was the
that.
generation
Yeah,
called?
I think
Yeah.
I think those cards are really cool.
Hmm. Yeah, no, I kind of like that take too with the tribals. I think too. I don't fall. I'll admit I'm one of the people that don't go too crazy in the lore of Ward. But I do believe that that's kind of where it feels like it's starting to move their lore is like these different groups are coming into power with things in Ward. And so yeah, I think that would be really cool if it was like, all right, these are all the different little tribes, and maybe the next set does have a bunch of just like specific things when it comes to those tribal things. I personally, for a thematic, I don't have like an actual like thematic. I all the thing that I want them to adjust, or maybe that could use a little more love. I call them sackables, but I want creatures that when you sack them, they give benefit to your creatures. Kind of to match with Tyler's tribal, I think a cool way to do tribal would be have little tribal creatures sack off to bigger tribal creatures to give them cool, crazy like effects, or like just make them like insane in that sense. And I think that's something that Ward hasn't really like utilized yet to have. So I think that would be a cool thematic of like some kind of like tribal group that like has benefits for sacking off certain creatures. Billy, what's your thought for a theme of Gen 4?
I did have one, but Tyler kind of took it with the tribal. I think we should lean into the different tribal aspects, like really like dive into like archetype and give more archetype support, so we can have like themed decks. I like themes. I like making it work, but I'll give a different one. I want to see for Gen 4 the addition of removed from play. I want something other than the cemetery that cards can go to that you can't bring back.
See, okay.
Oh boy, man wants the void.
Yeah.
Yep, I do.
Okay.
Bring the
Okay.
void.
See, that's interesting. I was actually gonna bring up. Is there any thought for you guys that like you would want maybe a different type of card? Not maybe not a magic card, maybe not a creature, but maybe they implement another kind of card.
No, banished, exiled. You can't remove from play. I don't care. Um, make
Anything
cards
that
that
makes it so you can't get it back.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and
Okay.
like I don't know how far you got into Yu-Gi-Oh. I know, and I'm sure Magic does it too. But there's ways to get removed from play cards back into game. No, just it's gone. Once it's out, it's out. Like I want those cards in the game.
Well, I
I think
think
it'd be
like you said,
interesting.
with a Ward has only 30 cards. I think you kind of want that mechanic. If that mechanic does exist, that's kind of what it should do, right? It's like
Yeah,
remove this resource from my opponent because you only have 30 cards. It's like it's not like you have those crazy like 60 card decks, right? So it's like I think you're right. I
yeah,
think if you're to make like a remove mechanic, it should definitely like just totally get rid of those things so they can't have access to them anymore.
yeah. I would love to see that in the game. I don't know if
Hell
it,
yeah.
Okay.
But yeah,
Well, with that, thank you again, Cosmic Quinn, for sending in your question. And with that, guys, like, comment, and subscribe. Make sure to shout us out. Say, we hit the 1 year mark. As we go forward here, I will say, we plan to, after this point, we're gonna, keep rolling with WWB. Now I guess the next achievement is 2 years. So we'll definitely do a cool probably recap video, in a year from now. And so thank you guys for watching, and we will see you next week.
Oh, see you.